Today we're talking bullet journal productivity. Hello, it's Anne from Veggie Magnifique, your go-to for holistic wellness and vegan lifestyle. And today we're talking about bullet journal productivity. So these are just some ideas that have been helping me to up my productivity because I'll be honest with you, July is an extremely busy month for me. It is going to be probably the busiest month ever, filled with the most important projects of my life. So productivity is really of the essence. Now, disclaimer here, I am a beginner bullet journaler, so if you're an old pro, hey, leave some comments of some constructive criticism in the comments below. I would appreciate that, especially if it's done with love. And of course, the other viewers would as well. So without further ado, let's get started. Grab your bullet journal or any sort of notebook and let's get started. So the first spread that we're doing is called a project tracker. It's actually an idea from Plant-Based Bride, and she has so many different amazing bullet journal ideas, so definitely check out her channel. I did not create this idea, but I love it because it's an analog way to track the projects that you're currently working on. It gives you kind of a visual of what the status of each project is. So what we're doing here is videos for Veggie Magnifique. So I'm basically just separating the page into 5 different segments. Now keep in mind with the project tracker, you can do this for any sort of project you're working on. You can do it for school, you can do it for your job. I'm doing it for videos because that's what I do, but you can do it for any sort of project that you'd like. So my categories are prep and script, film, sync audio, edit, music and VO, subtitles. Yes, I do subtitles every video. Je vous aime les Frenchies. YouTube, write post, social media, and email people that are involved. I know that this is not extremely up close, but I didn't realize how difficult it was actually to film bullet journal content because I don't have an over-the-head camera, so this is kind of like the most makeshift system. If you could see the bungee cords involved in filming this video. So this is cool because see, now on little post-it notes, we can just put the name of each project and then move it along, stick it along in each little segment to see how we're doing on each project. The visual side of me just absolutely loves this. So now we're doing our month at a glance. So one thing you should know about my lettering is that I am not a real letterer. I'm an imposter letterer. I don't know how to push down the pen in that special way to make it thick and then thin. I've tried, I need to practice some more. So in the meantime, I am a ad hoc letterer and I just go back and I thicken it up where I want it thick, and that's my method, guys. If you're not an expert letterer, hey, try this method. It might help you out. And we are creating a July calendar. Now this can be as involved or as minimalistic as you'd like. This is helpful because when you're doing a bullet journal, you don't always have all the weeks kind of drawn out in advance. So this allows you to plan the month ahead and take notes. So what we're doing here is we're creating 3 little boxes for goals, and in my case, videos, and a little box that says August. And so that's if something comes up, you can make a note so that when you make your August spread, you know to transfer that information to your August calendar. So you'll notice this white pen keeps coming back. That's because I make mistakes. And this is my little pen that I use for whiteout. It's not technically whiteout, but hey, I'm a beginner bullet journaler. So now we are going to add on a cool little quote here and get glue pen on the calendar at the same time. C'est la vie. So, vous ne pouvez pas épuiser la créativité. Plus vous l'utilisez, plus vous en avez. Forgive my accent. So basically, you can't use up all your creativity. The more you use it, the more you have. So the theme of this bullet journal productivity thing is tea. I'm drinking tea, I like to draw tea, I think about tea all the time, so I thought, well, why not have it as a sort of little underlying theme for this spread? So I've got some green tea, some red tea, some matcha, of course. And yeah, this is the monthly spread. This is going to help you to plan ahead for your month. So now we're going to do a finance tracker, but first we're going to screw up and write le. Yeah, that's not looking so good. We'll come back to that later. Let's work on the finance tracker. So I've got these cool stamps that I really wanted to use. I was going to write finances, but that didn't fit. So July finance sounds okay, right? So I'm using this white pen for something other than whiteout, which is exceptional. I'm going to make it look like soy milk in my matcha latte. So the finance tracker is pretty straightforward here, guys. I'm just basically drawing a big box, and within this big rectangular box, I'm making 3 equal parts, and 2 of those rows are going to be for expenditures, and 1 row is going to be for income. One day I hope to have 2 rows for income and maybe 1 row for expenditures. So since I totally messed up on this whole le situation, I'm just gonna paste a quote here. Now this does not look very aesthetically pleasing. I will definitely be adding stickers to this later, but for the time being, this will just have to suffice. So again, guys, tracking your finances is a way to be productive. And as taboo as it is in France to talk about money, it's central to our lives and it is a big stressor for so many people. So let's track. You manage what you measure. So we're doing our weekly spread here. I'm going crazy here with the stamps. This is not very minimalist. I was planning on doing a minimalist spread. This ended up not being minimalist, but you'll forgive me because, you know, every week, every month can change. So do the hard jobs first. The easy jobs will take care of themselves. This is the quote of the month here. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. So I'm currently doing this style for my weekly spread. I do long rectangles for each day, and then I divide it up into different segments. So what I'm going to do is on the top part of this rectangle, I'm going to write all my to-dos, and then on the bottom part, the little square, is going to be for my events or my meetings. What I do for the weekend is I make shorter boxes at the end of the page in order to, inspire myself to work less on the weekends and have more fun. So I've drawn some teacups to go along with this underlying tea theme, and I think my idea is I will color in the tea when I come to that day. That'll be fun, right? It's like coloring. I love coloring. And what we're doing here is I want to explain this little line. So above this little line, you're going to write the main task, like the one task that you want to get done that day that's the most important. I suggest that you do it first. Like when you sit down to be productive, I suggest that you do this one most important task. This is going to help you to prioritize because, again, the quote, do the hard jobs first, the easy jobs will take care of themselves. So I'm drawing a bunch of little stars. Now, what are these little stars for? Well, they are meant to help us with our productivity, and it's just so much fun to color in stars. So the idea is that every day, at the end of the day, you're going to rate how the day went, how productive you were. So it's not about being judgy. It's about analyzing. It's about saying, oh, today I got so much done. And believe me, even the idea of coloring in those little stars, it just might motivate you to, be a little bit more productive. So in the corner here, we're doing a tracker. Now, I do a weekly tracker. I do not do a monthly tracker because I forget about it if it's on another page. So I find the weekly tracker is extremely a million times more helpful to me than a monthly tracker, as aesthetic as they can be with the whole, mosaic things that people do for bullet journals. For me, the weekly tracker, it's there on my weekly spread. I have my weekly spread open on my desk. I see it. It reminds me to do what I'm trying to do. I'm all about the weekly tracker. So I'm using a Tombow brush pen to color things in because it's just fun. So now we're going to create a spread called a productive day. Now this is something that I was also inspired by Plant-Based Bride for. So the idea here is you're just mapping out what a productive day looks like to you. So what time do you get up? What time do you eat breakfast? What's your morning routine like? Do you have a morning routine? What would it be ideally? And it's just fun to kind of lay things out, in an ideal world, this is what my day would look like. So the gray kind of smeared the stamps. Oh well, you get the idea. And the morning and the evening lettering is just, you know, subpar. But again, I'm an imposter letterer. So yeah, I've just written out all the different things that I would love to do on a productive day. So now we're going to do something a little different, but that I really think helps us do not only the shadow work in our lives, but that causes contemplation. And apparently one of the regrets of the dying is that they didn't have enough time for contemplation. So let's contemplate, guys. And this is something that I am pulling from, I think it's called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and it's by Nathaniel Branden, and it's a brilliant book. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. If I were a successful blank, I would do XYZ. And the idea here, guys, is that you ask yourself these questions and you answer them. In terms of achieving what you want to achieve, it always comes from being the person who will get the things done that you want to get done. So there you have it, some productivity bullet journaling. Matcha. So those were some ways to up-level your productivity in your bullet journal or notebook, or even these ideas could perhaps be implemented digitally. So thank you so much for watching. If you derived any inspiration from this video, thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you don't miss next week's video. And on that, I will see you next week. Bye! Just really quick, another way to, of course, up your productivity is by having a very solid morning ritual. And if you'd like help with that, you can find the 10 Days to a Powerful Morning Ritual on the blog.